less English, John. Church is fun. I'm so happy to be here this morning. It's just so nice to be, for God to hit the reset button and just to be like, well, really it comes down to Jesus, who he is, what he's done, and we walk with him. My sermon this morning is called When Jesus Arrives. And I want to start by telling you about a very famous character. This character is sort of like James Bond. Like a really, really famous character everyone knows, but is played by different actors through different time. This character, his name is Dr. Chock. Has anyone heard of Dr. Chock before? No, I didn't think you would. Now, my dad was a youth and children's pastor for many years, and they had a giant outreach event, probably twice a year. And this was for primary school age kids, and there was the best part of the outreach event was Dr. Chock. Now, Dr. Chock, 10 years ago when he was created, he was a black man, played by a white person, Jamaican hair, and Dr. Chock could create an incredible sense of euphoria among the kids because Dr. Chock brought with him a giant container, probably a toy box full of chocolate and lollies and chips. And every child that came to this event was given a number, and if the song that brought Dr. Chock out was the Chock can't stop, the Chock can't stop, the Chock can't stop, the Chock. And when that song would play, the people knew that Dr. Chock was about to arrive. And so they would absolutely, the room would just fill with the most deafening, terrible screeching of excited children you've ever heard in your life. It was, you need earplugs if you were there. And so Dr. Chock would come out, and that moment when he arrived was just utter chaos. And so if your number gets called out, what Dr. Chock said, you get to run up, you get 30 seconds, run up to the toy box full of chocolate, and you pick up and grab as much chocolate lollies as you possibly can. And when 30 seconds is over, when that time runs out, you get to keep all that chocolate. So they probably get about a kilo of chocolate each every time he gets called out. So he comes out a couple of times in the service. Now that moment was a very amazing moment, the moment when Dr. Chock arrives. And this sermon this morning is when Jesus arrives. It's going to be even better than Dr. Chock. And we're going to read a passage from Mark chapter 5, and that is going to be a time when Jesus arrived at a new place. So I actually didn't print out the Bible verse, so I'm going to read off the screen, and we'll see what the Bible wants to say to us today. So they went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. So he's basically the Incredible Hulk. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send him out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons, sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told them about the pigs as well. And the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. We're almost there. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he's had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And all the people were amazed. I love that passage of scripture. It's exciting. It's got everything. It's got Jesus, it's got miracles, it's got demons, it's got pigs. Everybody likes bacon. I don't understand the love of bacon that's around the world. Bacon's alright, but people that say bacon makes everything better, I don't see it. Bacon's alright. It's okay. Jesus obviously didn't like bacon, so checkmate. So let's look into this passage. There's some really amazing sort of things that God wants to draw out for us this morning. So I pray that He would be speaking to you, and this would be a new understanding of Jesus and a new revelation of what it means to follow Him. So the first thing that popped out to me is this question: where has He taken us? I imagine the disciples, when they got off the boat with Jesus, and they see this crazy, crazy, muscly man running towards them, they would have thought, where on earth has Jesus taken us? This place, the Decapolis, right? It was basically the Las Vegas of Judea. It was a place controlled by the Romans in the Jewish area. You see, after the Romans had sort of conquered the area, their goal was to Greekify the whole world, make everyone live our way of life. And they came across the Jewish people, and the Jewish people were very, very stubborn, very violent, very, very proud. And they had numerous uprisings and fights and battles that kept popping up. And because of this, the Roman people, the emperor, or whatever he's called, sent a legion of soldiers to live in this area of the Decapolis, 10 cities. Even though Decapolis literally means 10 cities, if you translate the word, but most of the time there was 9 or 11 cities. There was rarely 10. It's a funny thing. So this was the center of the pagan, or the false culture of the world for the Jewish people. So the kids of the Jewish area, their parents would have said, don't ever, ever, ever go to the Decapolis. It is a place full of temptation and foreign temples and perversion and all manner of things that would draw you out of our God-given culture and into the culture of the world. The Decapolis was strategically organized this way so that the Jewish people could come and be absorbed into their own way of life. They even made little allowances for the Jewish people, like, oh, come into the temple, we're not going to eat any pig in the temple, so you can come and be part of it. This whole area was an area of temptation and just welcoming. Come and try the way of the world. Come and try the way of the world. So the Jewish people hated this area. The solid Jews, no way, we're not going there. Even, do we know the story of the prodigal son? How he runs off to a distant land and wastes all his money on prostitutes and ends up with pigs. A lot of people think that this was the area that they were talking about. So this is this place of debauchery and the world. All the world has to offer. And so Jesus was like, to his disciples who were only 16, hadn't even known him for more than a year. Like, they're all young guys. Jesus pops up, starts doing some teaching, doing some miracles. This is awesome, we're following Jesus. Jesus says, let's go over there. What would you have thought? Oh, I'm sorry, Mum. I got sucked in by this false teacher, and he's going to take me over to the brothel. That's what it was like, brother. And on the way, in the boat, across the lake, in the dead of night, they have this massive storm, and they all almost die. And the Jewish people were already scared of the sea because there was all this sort of understanding that it had all spiritual things happening under the water. This was like, it goes from bad to worse. And they're in the storm, and Jesus silences the storm, and then they're like, what? Even Jesus is more powerful than the storm? And they get to the lake, they step off the boat, and they're like, oh, finally, okay, we're here. What are we going to do? And out comes the Incredible Hulk, yelling and screaming and naked. And it was shameful for a Jewish person to see another person naked. So they would be like, oh, where on earth has he taken us? Oh my goodness. That's what following Jesus is like. Jesus does not take us into the safe and the normal and the easy and the way we grew up. He takes us out of the realm of safety into the realm of faith. How many times have I prayed this prayer? I've said, God, would you please keep me safe today? Please keep my family safe. Please make sure our money is getting stretched and we're blessed financially. God, would you please keep me safe? I pray that prayer much more often than I pray something like, God, would you use me? Would you be glorified? Would you have your way in my life, even if it means risk and unsafety and uncertainty? I pray for safety much more than I pray to be used by God. These disciples said, they would have said something like, where has he taken us? They were taken by Jesus out of the usual, out of the routine, out of the normal, and into the realm of faith. God wants to take us out of the realm of normal, out of the realm of safe, into the realm of faith. This is much easier for other countries because they don't have the safety and the luxury and the blessing that we have in this country. See, I can go through probably a whole year without ever having to pray for anything from God. Because I've got a job, I've got money, we've got Medicare, all these sort of things. We have an incredible safety and blessing, but that can lead us astray. It can lead us into having that attitude when it comes to Jesus. But following Jesus is sometimes, where on earth has he taken us? And this guy that popped up, right, he was crazy. Crazy guy. And they got to this sort of worldly area, and up pops probably the worst thing you can probably imagine. A really scary, really strong guy, raging and yelling, coming straight at you. And this story's in the Bible, I think, partly because this gospel was written to a Gentile audience, people that didn't understand the Jewish way of life or the culture and like that. And so I think that this passage is in here, particularly because it gives us an understanding of the spiritual side of the world. See, this person's life, being alone, being isolated, many voices in their head, demonic possession, loneliness, this is the end result of what the world offers us. And Jesus came right here, smack bang, worst on the best. The church is designed and built to follow Jesus. It's to come in contact with the people who need Jesus, the worst of the worst. Jesus wins, we all know. Yeah. But this is where we are supposed to be. And so, it's funny, like I was thinking about this sort of representation. This is the worst of the worst. This is what the world offers. And I was like, that's not what I see when I see the things of the Word in my life. What I'm met with is really awesome, fun, short-term pleasures of the world. See, it'd be really, really easy to avoid temptation if we saw the end result. I mean, the images on TV at night when you're the only one up wouldn't look so appealing if you saw shame and broken relationships and addiction. I mean, the unhealthy eating wouldn't be as difficult if we saw the health problems and the diminished quality of life when we get older. We are given the false in our temptations. But Jesus is exposing what happens. Your sin gives birth to death. It doesn't look like death at the start, but it does down the track. Maybe God wants to open up our perspective a little bit about our temptations. We can pray. We can say, God, would you show me the perspective I need about the thing that I'm drawn towards. Show me a greater understanding of the thing that I keep struggling with. Give me that revelation. And God really is giving us that revelation from this passage. That's the end result. This guy, whether he was Jewish or not, would have gone into this society, had all manner of good times, sucked in, and one thing might have led to another, and led to another, and led to another, and he's demon-possessed, alone, and has no way of getting help in his life. And when we talk about the spiritual, there's two errors that we can often make, says C.S. Lewis. The first error is that we believe in demons and we give them an unreasonable amount of attention and fear and focus, where everything becomes a spiritual attack, where we have a spiritual attack of body odor, we have a spiritual attack of laziness, and a spiritual attack of sadness, and every little temptation thing we pops up in our life is a spiritual attack. I've got to be honest, we do a pretty good job at stuffing up on our own, just with our flesh. It's not always a spiritual attack. The other error that we often make, apart from giving too much to the spiritual realm, is we deny it. And we'd look at this man and we'd say, oh, he's definitely got dissociative identity disorder. He needs therapy, he needs antidepressants, and we're going to try and integrate those psyches back into one and get him healthy and happy. That's the other side we can go. Both are equal errors. In the middle is where we should be. And so Jesus recognizes the issue, and Jesus goes after this. Goes after it. And the next point, of course, is the light of the world shines bright. So Jesus came to this area. Jesus took his followers to this area, and he went to work. He was like, well, I've come here for a reason. Releases this guy. The best that the devil has to offer, what could he do worse than sending a legion of demons into someone? Probably nothing worse. And the best that the devil could offer, all that could do was to run straight to the feet of Jesus and beg not to be tortured. Jesus Christ is Lord over all spirits. You see, Jesus has been given all power and all authority. Jesus knows this, and we see it in this passage. God is showing us that this morning. And so the demons run up to him, and they have nothing at all to do. Nothing. They can only beg and plead. You see, at the height of revelation, we see that there is no opposition for Jesus Christ. I'll say that again. At the height of revelation, at the best understanding, at the truest knowledge of any situation, there is no opposition for Jesus Christ. None. All that we see in our lives, all that we come across, any demon, any situation, any struggle, is just the flicking of a dead serpent's tail. There is no opposition to Jesus Christ. He is all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present. Yes.
Amen.
Let's exercise our faith.
Amen.
Jesus is holy and perfect. He was there at the creation of the world. And he's far superior than anything. It's not just in the spiritual realm either. These pigs, right? This is when I read this, I was just so stoked and surprised, right? So the 10th Legion was the Roman soldiers that were in this area, and they had a couple of symbols there on their shields and their insignia. This was what sort of represented them. The first thing that represented them was Neptune, the god of the sea. So Jesus had already smacked down the idea of Neptune. He just silenced the storm with his very words.
Yeah.
The next representation of the legion was a ship. Jesus just got off a ship into their land. And the next representation of this legion was the pig. The boar.
Okay.
And so the place that these demons begged to go was into this 2,000 massive herd of pigs?
Yeah.
Herd of pigs. And they went off into the sea and drowned. What was Jesus saying? What was Jesus doing in that realm? These 2,000 pigs obviously weren't owned by Jewish people. Jewish people weren't allowed to have pigs or eat them. These would have been property of the Romans. And Jesus was basically winding up, giving a figurative punch in the face to the Romans. You see, it's not just the spiritual that Jesus has authority over. It's the physical. It's the situations. It's the organizations. No matter what rises, no matter what powers pop up in the world, Jesus is superior. Whether it's another religion, whether it's false teaching, whether it's the government making legislations over the church and over the people of God, whether it's oppression, Jesus is superior. And in your personal life, whether it's addiction, whether it's struggle, whether it's mental illness, whether it's anxiety, whether it's anything that comes against you, Jesus is superior. And we find release from fear, we find release from worry, we find release from anxiety when we proclaim, when we worship, when we make noise about the fact that Jesus is the King. You see, worship we just had before was a real moment of progress in people's lives because it's a real moment of proclaiming the truth that Jesus is above, He's beyond, He is greater. If you're struggling with fear, if you're worrying about the future, your first step is to grab a verse that talks about God's power and presence and who He is, and start screaming that out. Start speaking that. Start focusing on that. Worship is what we were designed to do at the creation of the world.
Yes.
So worship is good for our soul.
Yes.
Worship is how we get a revelation, when this understanding in our head makes it into our heart.
Yep.
And starts to become the core thing that comes out in situations, the core thoughts. Those automatic thoughts come from the repetition and the worship and the focus on the fact that Jesus is holy.
Yep.
And has all authority.
Preach it.
This is a good sermon.
Yeah.
Because it came from God. The next thing I want to talk about, I actually can't remember what it is. What's the next thing?
You're on fire. God's good. Come on.
That's right. A glimpse of the divine. So this guy, right? This guy who's in the worst spot ever. Completely, like, what is worse than being demon-possessed, alone, naked, cold, chained? I mean, he was strong. That's a good thing. Like, I've been trying to go to the gym, trying to get strong. But that's about the only good thing in his whole life. So he comes to Jesus. Jesus saves him. Demons go. They're all gone. And then the people run off. They come back and they see this guy. They see him clothed, in his right mind, sitting at Jesus' feet. What an incredible transformation. And in this passage we just read, it says that they came and they saw him. And that was the first thing they noticed. Then they had the story of the pigs recounted to them after they got there. When the pigs was the initial thing that brought them into the situation. You see, the biggest and most powerful part of this whole passage for the people around was the transformation of the people, not the losing of the pigs. And in this passage it says that they were afraid. But I kind of didn't understand that at first, because you had this guy who was scary and massive and everything. He's scary as is. He was way, way scary. But then when he was turned free and quiet and sitting at Jesus' feet, then they were afraid. It kind of reminds me of when, in the Bible, when people meet with angels or they meet with Jesus, or they have an understanding of God's power, and they're often afraid. Like, so many times the angels have to say, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. And then they have to give their message. It's like, I believe that this is the same thing. Through the transformation of this man's life, they got a glimpse of the divine. They got a glimpse of Jesus and a new understanding of his power and who he is. See, for our lives, we've been met by Jesus, and we have been changed by Jesus, and we've been transformed by Jesus. And the extent of that transformation determines the extent of people's glimpse into the divine that people will have when they see us. See, if this man was exactly the same, it wouldn't have meant anything. But because he was transformed, people got a glimpse into Jesus. So there's two things probably that I want to talk about, how we limit the transforming ability of Jesus. The first one is seen in this passage, in the positive, right? This man was sitting at the feet of Jesus. For a Jewish person, sitting at the feet of a rabbi is the Jewish way of saying, can I be your disciple? I'm under your teaching. I value your authority over mine. What you say is gospel. That's what this is the posture that they found this man in. And they didn't come straight away. So this man would have been here talking with Jesus, listening. We can limit the transforming power of God in our lives if we fail to uphold and lift up the word of the Bible, the word of Jesus, over our own thoughts, over our ideas, over our attitudes, over our own plans. The posture of God, your will, not mine. Your word, not mine, is a place where we find transformation. If I read something in the Bible that I don't like, I've got a couple of choices. I can move on to the next passage. I can explain it away. Oh, that was for a different audience, that wasn't for me. Or I can say, God, give me an understanding of this. Show me, Holy Spirit, how you want to transform my life. Because your ways are better than mine. Your word is better than mine. Your understanding is better than mine. Transformation comes by exalting the word of Jesus.
Yes.
And being humble to that. And that is an uncomfortable and challenging place to be. I've recently been challenged by reading a book called Crazy Love, which I recommend to just about anyone. I've only read about 4 chapters because every time I read a chapter, I'm met with the truth from the Bible that challenges me so much that I need time to be like, God, would you please make this happen in my life? It's not there. I'm not there. Reading the Bible is a challenging and it's significant. There's a verse in the Bible that says that it's sharper than a 2-edged sword. Reading the Bible is supposed to be like that for us. But we can read it away in the wrong context. We can not study it. We can focus on other things, or we can ignore it. All those things will stop us from being transformed and will stop people from seeing a glimpse into the divine when they see us. The second thing that will stop or limit God's transforming power in our lives is what the people did. So the people came, they were scared, and they said, Jesus, would you please leave? We don't want any more trouble. This is not your home area. Please just go. Just go. And Jesus leaves. What does that mean for us? If we ask Jesus, by action or by word, to leave an area of our life, He probably will. If I've got areas of shame in my life, and I say, Jesus, that's just too painful. You can't work in this area. You can't be here. He'll back off. Just like He did in this passage. If I've got sin in my life that I'm like, God, I can't deal with this. This is too big of a thing for me. I'm going to handle it on my own. Jesus will back off. I mean, that song we sung in worship was an awesome one because it was, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. If those people had welcomed Jesus into the area, Jesus would have stayed, had an extended ministry, people would have had their lives changed, miracles would have happened. Yep. But it relies on the invitation. Yep. Is there areas in your life where you ask Jesus to leave when you should invite Him in? Yeah. Or are there areas of your life which you have not yet invited Jesus into that it's time to welcome Him into? See, transformation is not an optional part of the Christian walk. As I read the Bible, as I look at the people that follow Jesus, transformation happens in all the ones that are in the Bible. Transformation. Well, Christianity is not just a journey from sin and from shame and from hell. It's a journey into the life of Christ, into transformation to Christ. And there's so many challenging verses, like, I can't remember where the verse is, but I read it this week, and it said about, always be prepared to give an answer for the hope that you possess. I can't remember the last time that the people in my life said, Jared, the people who don't know Jesus, they said, Jared, you're so different. You have this hope. When things happen in your life, you just are a different person to everyone else I know. What do you have that I don't have? How are you this different? I really need to understand what's different in your life. That doesn't happen to me. That's because I limit the transforming power of God by either pushing away His truth or asking His presence to leave from. Let's be different. Let's be transformed. The Christian walk is transformed. I think I'm ready for the next one. Next one will be something like, go home. No, I'm not telling you to go home. Please don't go. Please don't go. Not yet. I've only got 2 hours left. So the ushers are going to start distributing the communion. But what I wanted to talk about here is when the man... Oh yeah, keys would be awesome, yeah. When the man who was possessed, right? When Jesus had to go, Jesus steps on the boat. The man comes up and says, Jesus, can I please come with you? Can I be your disciple? Can I follow you? Wouldn't Jesus... Yeah, you'd assume Jesus would be like, yeah, sweet, come follow me. You'll be able to learn from me and be challenged by me, and this is going to be amazing. Let's do life. But Jesus didn't. Jesus said, go home, tell the people what I've done, tell them about the mercy. And so this guy goes away, faithful, to his hometown and tells people, yeah, that's this guy Jesus. He came and transformed my life. He came and changed me, and I'm set free now because of him. That was all his message was. I was talking with Anna on the way here in the car, and we were talking about like Empire Ministries and the incredible work that they're doing. And we were like, what are they doing different than us? Like, how are they telling the gospel? Is there some sort of secret to it? There is no secret to the gospel. It is, I met Jesus. He set me free. And that's it. That's what God gave him to tell. And so this man went away and was faithful. And a year and a half later, Jesus Christ arrived back in the same area. So he went back, did a lot of ministry, a lot of miracles, everything. And then he comes back. And get this, just about the exact same spot on the shore where this guy got released and set free, right? That's where the feeding of the 4,000 was. When Jesus came back to this area, there was a whole crowd of people there. And part of the reason why there was a crowd of people there was because he was faithful in being a transformed person. He was faithful in speaking about Jesus who set me free. That's the gospel. I met Jesus, he set me free, and he will set you free. And can you imagine the scene when Jesus would have arrived the second time? Can you imagine being this guy? Jesus, look, this person's here because I went and told him what you did. Jesus, this is my friend. Jesus, this whole family of people are here because I talked to them in the street. These are the people I know. This is them, and they're all here, part of this crowd, ready to meet you. Because I told them, because you transformed. I was in a dark situation. I was in the wrong area. You came and shined your light. You transformed my life. And now I will go and tell the people that I know, that you've put me near, exactly who you are. Can you think of any better joy than to look Jesus in the eye and said, Jesus, they're those people that you told me to talk to. They're the people that you told me to go and show myself to. We're in the exact same position as this man. Jesus transformed our lives. He set us free. He saved us from sin, hell, and death. And he's transformed us. And he's gone away. And one day he's going to come back.
Yeah.
And when he comes back,
I want to be ready.
I want to say to Jesus, look, here's my friend. Here's my housemate, Ed. Here's his girlfriend. Here's my sister who doesn't know you. They're all here to meet you because you transformed my life and I'm your faithful servant.
On you, Jared.
Come on. That's Christianity in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And we've got a choice every day. We can build up this moment where we get to see Jesus and say, Jesus, I followed you. I followed you and these people are here. Or we can get into heaven by the skin of our teeth and that's it. Which we're still. Jesus is that graceful and that kind that it's victorious either way. But I want to be able to give this gift back to Jesus.
Yeah.
I want my friends and family to be in heaven with me. So as we come to a time of communion, communion is coming back to the sacrifice of Jesus, to the victory of Jesus and the person of Jesus. And what better place to come back to? The place where we remember when we are in the wrong area. We were in the wrong place. We were in a dark night. And the light of the world shone bright on us. So would you please grab your emblems. And would you pray with me? Let us put our focus completely on Jesus. Jesus, we could thank you for our entire lives. We could thank you for all eternity and never even scratch the surface of what you've done for us. You are perfect. You You are holy. You are righteous. And what you did on the cross opened a home for me. What you did on the cross changed my destiny. I was on my way to hell. I was like that man, covered by the forces of darkness, alone, broken, cutting myself. And you set me free. So Jesus, I eat this bread and I drink this juice in remembrance of you. And may my life be transformed by you and this moment. And Father God, I will live different. I will live transformed. And I will go home and I will tell the people of what the Lord has done for me. And I'll tell them of your great mercy. Glory to you, Jesus.